you all for being here today. I'm so glad we got to talk today because what's the biggest story of the day? Bagels, exactly. Bagels. So that's pretty incredible that bagels is the biggest story of the day, and I know you'll all be wondering what I think about the bagel slicing. So I like mine sliced. That means that I get more cream cheese per bite, and I like to tell myself that I'm not eating as much bagel, even though I end up eating the whole thing. So that's the biggest story of the day. Second, I want to talk for a minute about the impressive job that our fire department did day before yesterday on the huge fire on Russell at Grand. 80 firefighters and many other support folks there. And through professional skill and maybe a little good luck, got all of the artifacts out, which is pretty stunning, I think, to most of us, that those incredible artifacts were able to be carried out of the building. I saw some pictures on social media about what that building looks like from the top. Someone must have had a drone or something there, and it is destroyed. But thank you, a huge thank you to our fire department, and not just our fire department, but there's a whole process in place where when we have 80 firefighters on the scene, other fire departments come in to man our fire stations so that if there's a second fire, there's mutual aid and everybody will help one another. So I think that's worth talking about again, even though I know it's been talked about a lot already. STL Made launched last week. For anybody who wants to take a picture of it, there's some swag over there, and if anybody wants to take some of the swag, you can. STL Made is a narrative, an initiative to remind us of the many assets that we have here in St. Louis, both in our people, our businesses, and our culture. I'm really excited to highlight that today. If you look around the office, you'll see we have some new banners here, all highlighting STL Made. There's several incredible videos. So if you haven't been on the STL Made website, I highly recommend it. It tells the stories of our people. I tweeted something earlier this morning about the Pianos for People effort, and that is one of the STL Made stories and the folks that are being highlighted. I have asked my folks to try to run the video. We're a little technically challenged physically in City Hall here, but perhaps we want to change the experience that people have when they come to City Hall also. And so in the rotunda we're hopeful, and here in the lobby of the mayor's office, we would periodically, I don't know if it would be on the hour or every 2 hours, but we would periodically run the video to sort of remind people about a lot of the good stuff that's going on here in St. Louis. So don't forget to take your swag. I'm going to talk for just a minute about smart cities. Last Saturday, I had the opportunity to go to NGA, the old NGA site that is down across from the brewery, and talk to a group of professionals. There were maybe 150 folks there, and they had also had 5 locations around the country connected in, and I had the opportunity to talk to them about broadband internet. Now, you know, NGA is an extremely technically savvy place, but the analogy that I made is that you have probably all heard that how a child is doing in reading in the 3rd grade measures a lot about what happens with that child later in life, because you need to be reading at the 3rd grade reading level at 3rd grade to really most likely develop to your full potential. So my theory of this talk was that broadband and access to broadband will be the new equity measure of our time, because if you're in, and I used the example of 5th grade, and you don't have broadband internet at home, very tough for you to do your homework. And I think as a country, as a state, as the city of St. Louis, we are all trying to figure out how to get broadband internet access, not trying to do your research paper on your phone. You can look up things on your phone, but doing an actual research paper, really doing your homework on your phone is a pretty tough situation. So we have a new Smart Cities initiative. I mean, it's new, a year old, and we are working with providers to figure out how to make sure that broadband internet access is available in all areas of our city and our state, of course. We're just focusing on the city, in order that kids can do their homework by having that access. So I think that's interesting. There's two aspects to it. One is it available? And two is, can you afford it? Because you're all probably paying an internet bill at home, and it's not cheap. So that's one of the things that we're working on. Switching subjects to bridges. It's been a lot written and on the news about bridges, but we are doing 2 bridge repair projects right now. One of them is at Arsenal, the Arsenal Bridge at Jameson, and this isn't really a huge project. It's only about $100,000, but it's replacing the expansion joints of that project. It's going to be starting Monday or Tuesday. This is all weather dependent, of course. It'll take 3 or 4 weeks. And by that, we think that, of course, that will extend the life of that bridge, because you've got to do the repair and maintenance. The second bridge project, which has been much written about, is the Compton Bridge. And about 2 weeks ago, we started with what's a $350,000 or $400,000 maintenance project, really. We hope to extend the life of that bridge by 3 to 5 years until we can get federal match money to actually replace that whole bridge. But anyone who's driven over it knows what condition the surface of that bridge is in. And so this project, we have been replacing the curbs. Starting probably in the next week or two, we'll be putting down a membrane and a thin layer of asphalt over that membrane. We can't add a lot of weight to this bridge because it's not up to it. So we hope that will get us 3 to 5 years. We will be working with SLU and Harris Stowe and everyone in the area. It will likely need to be closed for about a week, but we'll keep everybody apprised of that. But just for those of you who don't know, that major repair is the way I would characterize it, is going on. That's going on the Compton Bridge. Flooding. So our street department and our Board of Public Service is watching the forecast and the flooding predictions multiple times a day. Right now, we have 11 of the 24 floodgates closed and in place. We're looking at, right now we think a flood stage of under 35 feet. I think it's 34.9. It's weather dependent. It depends really more on how much it rains upstream from us than even right here. So we're watching that. Those floodgates are in place. We'll continue to do that. We'll be continuing to monitor that. But if you've been down to the riverfront, you can see the stage of the river and know that it's a concern for us. We are not expecting, at this point, we're not expecting any extreme flooding, but we're on top of it. Next subject, Health Department. I'm excited about this. Last time you were here, maybe the time before, I introduced you to the new health director, Dr. Fred Eccles. Yesterday, we opened a new STD and HIV testing clinic at 1520 Market. It's open every day, roughly 8:30 to 4:30. You know that City of St. Louis has consistently been high in STD rankings, so this new testing clinic we think is a real step in the right direction. Little bit about vacancy, because we've talked a lot about that before. One of the initiatives that was just recently rolled out, and we've had 2 big meetings at Harris Stowe about this is the Dollar House program. You know, we have close to 500 houses on the list on the website that can be bought for $1. And yesterday at the LRA meeting, we approved the sale of the first 6 dollar homes. So that is exciting. It's just getting started. There are another 490 dollar homes out there on the website for anyone who's interested in that. There are some criteria here. The homes are 1,500 square feet or smaller. They you have 18 months to get them fixed up and reoccupied. You have to live in the house yourself. If you get to buy the house for $1, you have to live there. This is not a program for speculators or for someone who wants to fix it up and rent it out. This is for home ownership. And you have to live in the house for 3 years after you finish fixing it up. So 18 months to fix it up, we're talking about 4.5 to 5 years here that we expect you to be committed and living in that house for those 3 years after you're finished fixing it up. But we're just excited that, you know, six of those homes were approved yesterday, along with 8 MOTA-owned lots, and many other things were on that LRA agenda. But I think that's worth pointing out that we've launched this program, and it's had the beginnings of a successful program. We still need grass cutters. We still need folks to work in our parks. So we talked about this extensively last time. The jobs pay from $12.50 to $13.50 in that range. Folks can apply online. We've had 2 job fairs at Wohl Center, which is at 1530, I think it is, North Kings Highway. We have gotten some good applications, but you've noticed the weather's warmer. Look around, the grass is growing. We need more grass cutters, more folks to work in our parks, help us keep the parks cut and in good shape, help us keep medians cut and in good shape, and help us keep our vacant lots, which we have more than we want of, and in good shape. So please, now's the time to apply for that. It's a good job. Start almost immediately, runs through October. You likely will make some overtime in addition to your roughly $13 an hour, because the grass grows fast, and you know, we need folks to work. So another plug for that. Just a couple more things, because I know you probably have questions for me, but this falls into the category of stuff we're working on. We're working on the budget right now. Those of you that have been around a long time know that this is budget season. We're not quite ready to talk about the budget yet. It will be presented for the first time on April the 16th, which is 2.5 weeks from now. It's on a Tuesday, an E&A meeting on a Tuesday. And I'll just tell you that what I have asked for is more money for demolition, more money for deconstruction, which falls in that same bucket, more money for affordable housing, and we're going to launch this Prop NS. We believe we're going to get that passed at the Board of Aldermen on the 15th, the Monday the 15th. So you'll see a lot more about the budget, but at this time of year, everybody in city government's working on it. And so you can expect to see more on that. 2 other things that we're working on. We're working on marijuana, the new marijuana. I saw your eyebrows go up there, Jason. We're working on how we as a city are going to implement the new marijuana regulations that were passed in November. I think it was November. At the state level, the state has issued some, maybe it was August, the state has issued some regulations. We, of course, will be in compliance with those, but we have zoning issues. It involves how do we handle cultivation? How do we handle the manufacturing? How do we handle testing labs? There are testing labs, and how are we going to handle dispensaries? And so we're working on that now. We expect within the next week, maybe even sooner, that we'll be rolling out some proposed, primarily it's zoning legislation for the Board of Aldermen to consider. So we're working on that. You'll see more about it. And then lastly, for me, we are beginning our planning for Clean Sweep. Now, you know that Clean Sweep is a partnership that we have for demolition. We are partners with the Regional Business Council and a number of contractors, including Fred Weber, McCarthy, Keeley, and of course Better Family Life. And there's two prongs to Clean Sweep. One is building demolition. Last year we demoed a little over 30 buildings, and some of them were pretty difficult buildings. When I say we, I shouldn't say we. These contractors who are donating their time, their people, their equipment demoed these 30-plus buildings. And in addition, we had many, many volunteers coordinated through companies in the area and through Better Family Life who cleaned up lots in the area. So we're working on that now. We've had there's a meeting on it next week. We're targeting the areas and trying to engage them again. That is a very expensive contribution by these companies who send their manpower and their people out. We sincerely appreciate this. It's not a sustainable thing that we're going to be able to do year after year after year, because it's just too much money by the time you get all that big equipment there. And some of you I know have been on site for some of the Clean Sweep projects. You get the equipment there, and then you have to, some of the bricks get recycled, some of them go to landfills. Landfill fees are expensive. So we're working on ways to do that this year, but also move to a more sustainable model of taking down buildings, because last year was the first year that we had a significant amount of money, $3.6 million, in our demolition budget, and we expect to have, we hope to have more than that this year in our demolition budget. And so we're evolving on this demolition. Of course, I have said this before, we don't want to demolish any building that can possibly be saved and rebuilt. That's why we have the Dollar House program. That's why we have Prop NS, which will stabilize some of these buildings. But some of them are too far gone and will have to come down. So those are the topics I wanted to cover with you this morning.